Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take the material you send us and really get under the skin of it.
Yeah, sort of like your shortcut to being in the know.
Exactly, pulling out the crucial insights so you don't feel buried in details.
Okay.
Today, we're looking at something a bit different, actually.
Mm-hmm. An excerpt from a fictional work. It's called Honey Boy Adventures, Woke and Broken.
Right. And what's interesting, like you said before we started, is how fiction can sometimes hold up a mirror.
It really can. To reality, often exaggerating trends, discussions we see happening anyway.
So our goal, our mission for this deep dive, is to explore this specific scene.
Yeah, pinpoint the reasons the characters think they've been canceled and really dig into what this, satirical take might tell us about today's cultural landscape.
Exactly. It's like stepping into one of those funhouse mirrors, isn't it?
Totally.
Where the reflections of current debates, maybe about wokeness, get all warped and amplified for comedic effect, obviously.
And our guides through this distorted reality, the characters.
Oh, the names. You've got Honey Boy, Space Boy, the always angsty Batman boy.
He's great. And Justin Boy, who seems pretty self-absorbed.
Endlessly. Then Inspector Potato Boy, surprisingly perceptive, maybe.
Ugh.
And Icy Boy, brutally honest.
Can't forget Icy Boy. Oh, and the antagonists.
Right. The tiny titans of terror.
Yeah.
The evil babies.
What a crew. So the whole thing kicks off when they get that email. You know the one.
The dreaded canceled email.
Yep.
And what hits you immediately is how differently they all react.
It's striking. Honey Boy is just completely in denial.
Thinks trending canceled is like a new kind of fame or something. Bizarre.
While Space Boy is just like, oh, the stars predicted this. Of course he does. His head's always somewhere else.
And Batman Boy immediately blames the internet.
So perfectly in character for him, right? Always angry about something.
It really sets the stage, shows their individual worldviews, the justifications they're going to offer later.
And Justin Boy, his first thought is his TikTok presence. Tells you everything about his priorities.
Doesn't it just? Meanwhile, Inspector Potato Boy, he's suspicious. Seems like he might have a clearer, maybe cynical grip on things.
And then Icy Boy drops the bomb.
We deserve it.
Oof. Yeah, that definitely shifts the mood.
It really does. And it's Icy Boy who sort of leads the charge on the post-mortem. He comes up with this list.
The list of reasons, yeah. Reasons for their downfall, as he sees it.
And point number one, every single one of them was a DEI hire, according to Icy Boy.
Right. But the reasons they think they were hired, that's where the satire really starts to bite.
Oh, yeah. This is where you see that exaggerated commentary on, diversity and inclusion discussions.
Exactly. The reasons themselves are kind of outlandish, but they touch on real anxieties, maybe criticisms around DEI stuff.
Like Batman Boy believing he was hired for being emotionally complex and neurodivergent.
Which sort of satirizes reducing people down to identity boxes, perhaps?
Maybe. And Inspector Potato Boy thinking he got the job to promote, wait for it, underrepresented body shapes in animation.
It's wonderfully absurd. Such a specific jab, maybe at tokenism.
Could be. Then there's Justin Boy. Bless his heart.
Oh, Justin Boy.
Initially thought it was just his abs.
His abs. It just highlights this superficiality the satire seems to be poking fun at.
Totally. And Space Boy, what was his again?
Oh, Space Boy represented cosmic dreamers suppressed by colonial narrative.
Right. Sounds impressive, doesn't it?
Totally. But maybe a bit jargon heavy, lacking substance. That seems to be the joke.
And Honey Boy just admits he checked 3 boxes on the form.
Which kind of undercuts the whole meritocracy idea within this fictional world, right? Points to that criticism about prioritizing demographics.
But what's the underlying point here? It doesn't seem to be saying diversity itself is bad.
No, not necessarily. More like it's satirizing the perception that sometimes the focus shifts to checking boxes instead of genuine inclusion or, merit.
Yeah, the humor is in their simple, often self-serving takes on why they got the job. Reflects maybe a cynicism out there about the why behind some DEI efforts.
Exactly. So the second point Icy Boy brings up.
Politics.
Politics. Their open and exclusive endorsement of left-wing politicians.
And again, their reasons are played for laughs, but it touches on that idea of, performative activism.
Seems like it. Batman Boy says for justice, which sounds noble.
High-minded, yeah.
Yeah.
But then Inspector Potato Boy admits it was about government handouts to the arts.
Brings it right back down to earth, doesn't it? Much more transactional.
And Justin Boy voting based on pink hair and free concert tickets. Just Wow.
A wonderfully shallow take on political engagement. It really highlights how endorsements, in this scenario anyway, can be driven by all sorts of things, sometimes pretty superficial things.
And Space Boy wanting free moon colonization.
Adds that layer of absurd wish fulfillment, and Honey Boy just liking the campaign songs.
Again, suggests a kind of surface-level engagement with the actual issues. The satire feels aimed at celebrity endorsements, maybe lacking real substance.
Could be. Okay, third accusation from Icy Boy. This one's about the evil babies.
Ah, yes, the evil babies and their pronouns. They insisted on they, them.
And this was accepted without question, apparently. But then there's the kicker,
The candy store robbery.
which was framed as liberation. That detail really amps up the satire.
So what's being poked at here? Is it the pronoun acceptance or the...
Well, it's the juxtaposition, isn't it? Respecting identity, accepting the pronouns placed right next to seemingly ignoring or even justifying bad behavior.
like robbing a candy store?
Exactly. The satire seems to be targeting a concern that maybe sometimes the focus on inclusivity might overshadow other things, like accountability, even for obvious wrongdoing.
Okay, that makes sense.
Hmm.
Then point 4, the spelling of their name. B-I-I-S.
With an I, not boys.
Intended to be inclusive, apparently, but now it's viewed as suspicious.
And the reasons they give are just gold. Space Boy says the stars spell it that way.
Of course he does.
And Justin Boy thinks it's hot and inclusive.
It's such a tiny detail, but what's the satire getting at with the spelling?
It feels like it's about the performative side of things, maybe online identity, and how even small gestures, even if well-intentioned, can get scrutinized later.
And reinterpreted negatively.
Yeah, the original intention gets lost or viewed with suspicion. Highlights how fickle online discourse can be, maybe.
Right. Okay, point 5, their shared fear of the 1937 Snow White movie.
Oh, yeah. They find it really uncomfortable, citing outdated gender norms,
The non-consensual kiss.
general problematic content, basically, and their reactions really sell it.
Inspector Potato Boy has night terrors.
Apparently. And Space Boy offers a multi-dimensional critique, while Batman Boy is just emotionally distressed by it all.
So the commentary here is about re-examining old stuff.
Yeah, looking at older media through today's lens and finding things that don't sit right now, but the exaggeration in their reactions.
Like the night terrors.
Exactly. It serves to satirize what some might see as maybe an overly sensitive or anachronistic view, applying modern values without enough historical context. That seems to be the angle.
Gotcha. Number 6 on Icy Boy's list. The villain.
Their one and only villain, Ivy Boy, who happens to be.
A Republican and cartoonishly evil. For the most stereotypical reasons.
Oh, completely. Wears a tie, bangs on about personal responsibility.
Had a top hat and a sack with a dollar sign. It's so over the top.
The total lack of nuance is the point, right? That's the satire.
A bit.
By making the Republican villain so stereotypically bad.
It critiques how political opponents can be painted in really simplistic, one-dimensional ways.
Exactly. Without any complexity or understanding of different views, just pure, uncomplicated evil wearing a tie.
Okay. And the final point, number 7. None of them have proper documentation.
Which is just wild. The reasons are all over the place. Honey Boy's birthday is fake.
Space Boy identifies as celestial.
Batman Boy's paperwork is deliberately edgy, whatever that means.
And Justin Boy just doesn't have a last name. He's just Justin Boy.
It has this final layer of absurdity, doesn't it? Maybe it touches on a bigger theme. Rejecting norms, rejecting structures, even basic ID.
It's like the culmination of everything else. Extends beyond social stances to their actual, legal identities.
Yeah, their whole relationship with established systems seems to be part of the joke.
And after Icy Boy lays all this out, this evidence, you see the shift.
Definitely. Honey Boy, who started in denial.
Finally caves. Maybe we are woke.
And then Inspector Potato Boy delivers that killer line, so deadpan.
We deserve to be canceled. It's just this moment of dark, funny self-awareness.
And the others react in their own ways too, right? Space Boy sees cosmic destiny.
Of course. Batman Boy feels like justice failed.
Justin Boy immediately thinks about his solo career.
Always thinking about himself.
And Icy Boy just accepts it coldly. It really shows the different ways people might react to that kind of cultural reckoning, even a fictional one.
And that ending?
Yeah.
The evil babies just swoop in and steal the last piece of cake.
Adds that final touch of dark humor. Like, even the villains cash in on their downfall.
So let's try and bring it all together. What this excerpt from Honey Boy Adventures seems to do is offer this satirical, really exaggerated look at a group getting canceled.
Yeah, canceled for a collection of traits and actions perceived as woke. And the reasons they list themselves, well, they touch on all these different parts of current discussions: identity, politics, cultural sensitivity.
But the humor comes from the exaggerations
Right.
and the absurd justifications the characters give.
Absolutely. It's not trying to be a nuanced policy paper.
No, it's satire. It's meant to make you think, probably through laughing.
Yeah.
So for you listening, what parts of this, over-the-top scenario actually resonate? Do you see echoes of real debates?
And does seeing these criticisms presented in such an exaggerated way maybe offer any fresh perspective on how complex these issues really are?
Which kind of leads to a final thought to maybe chew on.
Is this whole concept of being woke really as simple, as cut and dried as this fictional scene makes it seem?
Or are there usually way more nuances, more complicated factors involved when, creative stuff or individuals face criticism or cancellation?
Maybe thinking about this satire, this deep dive into it, can help us reflect on how exaggeration works, how it can shine a light, maybe a weird light, on complex social talks and the different ways we all interpret the cultural shifts happening around us.